Thank you for tuning in to Dr. Chris's Radio Horror Show here on WCW 91.3. If you're not catching this recorded interview live when it broadcasts, hopefully you're catching it on the Radio Horror YouTube show in a slideshow with pictures from The Deep Ones. Tonight on the show to talk about The Deep Ones, which came out last year, an H.P. Lovecraft movie, which you can pick up right now on DVD. We have the director, writer, producer on the show with us, Chad Farron. Thank you for coming on the show with us, Chad.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I found your film in Walmart. I wasn't even looking for it. I was actually buying something else. I was like, oh, look, a new H.P. Lovecraft movie, and then watched the trailer on my phone real quick, and I was like, okay, this seems interesting, and then got it home, watched it, and it was just like, what the heck was this? Jesus criminy. I had just got done rereading, I had read it years ago, Alan Moore's Necronomicon, and I was like, wow, there is some similar stuff in this, and it all has to do with these, like, fish men creature raping women in some type of ridiculous sacrifice of some kind. And I'm like, gee,
movie.
Yeah, I'm like, how does that go in the script process when you go along with, like, okay, so I need women who want to, like, get busy with a dude in a rubber fish suit who's gonna bang him on the beach with a bunch of people surrounding and just watching over it like it's some kind of, like, the worst porno ever made. And I'm like, oh my god, this happens like twice in this movie. Jeez, where did you film this?
We shot it in Ventura. Gina actually owned or was renting the beach house that we filmed it, so that kind of made it. All the location went there basically based around the location that we had to film in.
It pretty much centers to that beach house and that beach, really, which must have been great for having to not worry about, like, a ton of other places to have to worry about shooting.
Yeah, no, I mean, the whole script was kind of written around that. She sent me some pictures of the place she had and some of the spots around there, and I was like, okay, I'll write the script around that location. And then the minute, I saw it in person, the ocean and everything as the backyard, I immediately thought of Lovecraft, and then just started rereading a lot of his works and getting into, creating a kind of used Rosemary's Baby as an outline, and then kind of just meshed it up with Shadow over Innsmouth and Dagon and some other Lovecraft elements, and we were off and shooting.
Is Innsmouth, Shadows over Innsmouth and Dagon the two particular stories that this is based on? Because this is not a Lovecraft story, right? I mean, he does have, like, these fish-like Dagon deity creature things, but not in this kind of story, right?
Right. It
miscarried
was just kind of
couple
elements from.
Like, it's a
Call of Cthulhu had elements that I took from, and some of the other things, and just kind of mishmashed and threw in things that I thought would work and help with a little modernization here and there, and took it loosely, but still trying to be true to his works and the stuff that I stole from him.
What god is the cult worshiping that they're using the women for their Rosemary Babies? What's the name of the fish movie where the woman bangs the fish guy and it won an Academy Award?
What is that called?
The Shape of Water.
Guillermo del Toro movie. Yeah, Shape of Water.
Yeah, Sally Hawkins or whatever. That I was like, oh, this is like The Shape of Water, but non-consensual.
It's like if Corman did The Shape of Water, that's what this would be.
Right, but what deity of the Lovecraft monsters are they all, like, sacrificing these poor women to?
Well, they worship Dagon, but it's more of a deep one is the one that's mating with them.
It's a deep one that doesn't have a name. It's just called the Deep One.
Well, they call him Dagon, but I think kind of it's one of those things. If you worship something as the Almighty Jesus or God or whatever, or whatever, you're not necessarily getting the right one. So in my idea of it, there's a whole bunch of these deep ones, and one comes up that's ready to get busy, and that's who they're worshiping at the moment.
The date that I had when watching this said they're getting deep, all right. How do you how do you get, like, actresses to want to film a scene like that? Because it's incredibly not PG Disney material.
Well. With Gina, it was a stretch because
which one? Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. Which one was Gina? Is Gina the first victim or the second one?
The second one.
The second, our
She
main actress. Okay.
our main actress. She also invested in the film, and it was her beach house. And it was originally, the script was written with her in mind, but when she first read it, she was like, "There's no way I'm doing this."
Okay, so she did, but she was like, absolutely not.
Yeah, she took some arm bending to get in the thing, and it only kind of occurred. We saw other actresses, we found other investors that were willing to kind of jump on it, and when she saw that, she's like, maybe I'm missing something, and she kind of reread the script and saw there's elements that could really make her shine as an actress. So she's like, she warmed up to the idea of getting raped by this sea monster, but it took a while. And then when she finally kind of got on board to it, she embraced it wholeheartedly, and gave a very convincing portrayal of a woman being raped by a sea monster.
And then what about the other actress?
And Sylvia, I had worked with before, numerous times, and she's just great. And it's kind of one of those things. We have such a great working relationship. I do with most of the actors that I have a good time with them. I bring them back on other projects, and they kind of know how I work, and we all have kind of a great collaboration. And she was on board for anything that I throw her. So there's nothing. There was never any chance of her being hurt or any of those things. It's kind of, once she got into the character, she's that was a harder part, of course, of the character to go through, but she embraced it and had a great time.
Yeah, I mean, she's got an opening sequence in the whole movie where she's running down the beach completely naked. So that was like the big eye opener. And then of course it cuts when she runs into the old man. But then in the deleted scene, there's like her whole sacrificial rape scene to the Dagon deity creatures thing.
Yeah, that was the original opening with that whole scene, and it was one of those things that
you were like, all right, you're going to strip naked and do a full sprint down this beach. And she was like, all right, whatever you want, Chad.
Yeah, no, she was a trooper, and, with a smile, and do we need to get it again? And we got it the first couple takes. And
do you film in the summer so that way these scenes are not like just incredibly uncomfortable for the actress having not a stitch of clothes on?
We shot that about in April. End of February, early end of February.
Ooh, February, that still must be very cold.
It was a little chilly, yeah. Kept everybody on their toes, though.
Right, and then you also have like one veteran actress in this movie of Scream Queen fame of horror movies from the 80s, Kelly Maroney.
Yeah, no, she's great, and I would work with her on Exorcism at 60,000 Feet, and she was great on that. And I was like, here, wrote the little part specifically for her, and she was a real, again, another trooper who you work with people on other projects or whatever, and if you click, and you work with them again, and she was great.
Did you have your actors read up on Dagon prior to doing this movie, or not Dagon, like on H.P. Lovecraft, and then maybe watch Dagon? Because I definitely see a lot of influences with Dagon, of course, the film, the one by Stuart Gordon.
Yeah, no, anything, Stuart Gordon really is probably the greatest at capturing, for me, what Lovecraft is all about, and his stuff is really, everything, even stuff that might have, not had the budget required or whatever, he, no matter what, pulled it off to something that's so memorable and so amazing. And when every time, you mention Stuart Gordon or Lovecraft, either one, they both come to mind for me, especially seeing his stuff, in the theater as a kid and just being blown away by Reanimator and From Beyond. And it's amazing. And those are the things that I think is great when a director can make something that makes you want to go out and read the source material or get those things. So I can only imagine the people he influenced by that first saw Reanimator and was like, Lovecraft, let me go check that out, and you get into a whole other thing of all of Lovecraft's world, and it's endless, the inspiration that not only Stuart has given me but also Lovecraft to myself and countless filmmakers throughout the years. It's pretty phenomenal.
Who is the guy in the fish costume? The creature.
His name is Kurt, who had done numerous suit performances in other films, and he was brought on by Jim Ojala, the makeup man, who had worked with him on numerous other films. And he's like, when it comes to a suit performer, this is the guy to use. And and he was great, and the suit fit him perfectly. So it was one of those things with, okay, let's go with him, and he was great. Kurt Carley, I believe.
Yeah. So, and it says that he was Godzilla in Godzilla. Like he's in the Matthew Broderick Godzilla film in a Godzilla suit for certain scenes.
Yeah, no, he does all whatever.
That was his first movie too.
Yeah, no, he loves being in a suit, getting sweaty as all hell.
I can see, however, Toho has never asked him to come back to play Godzilla.
One of these days.
Yeah, I'm sure. you you don't realize how much of a disgrace that movie is to Toho Studios. That when we did 2014's Godzilla, they were like, "You get Godzilla and nothing else until you can prove you're not going to do that stupid again." And we turned around and we did all right, and they were like, "Okay, now you get Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah, and the music finally." But when they did 2014 Godzilla, the 1998 film was such a disgrace to the studio. They were like, "You get nothing else except for Godzilla, and you have to prove to us that you have learned from your mistakes." So he must have been like, so he's credited on IMDb in the photo where Godzilla is like roaring up into the sky, hugging the Chrysler Building. So I'm assuming that's like a miniature. He must be in that suit, which I thought most of that movie was CGI, garbage CGI.
Right. No, I'm sure they must have grabbed a little bit here and there.
Yeah, because he's uncredited as playing Godzilla, and it's his first movie. That's so damn funny. So the other thing about your movie was I didn't realize that the creature was Dagon, because I think of Dagon as like a massive Cthulhu-sized god, not like the two arms and legs kind of godlike creature. I thought that maybe it was like one of his deity things.
Well, that's kind of how I figure it, but the cult, worships Dagon, so whatever's coming out of the water is sent by him, and that's kind of what's, propagating these sexual encounters.
Right.
His deep ones are coming forth.
The deep ones, yeah. And did you ever read the comic I was talking about by Alan Moore?
No, I've heard of it, and I've meant to, but then we got into filming, and I just kept rereading more and more Lovecraft, and I was like, I'll save it till after the film.
There's a scene that's very recreate from like your movie from this comic. It just came out again, and it's like 6th printing. It'd been out of print for a while, so copies of it are very hard to find. And a couple FBI agents are undercover in this cult, and then like the orgy begins. And they blow the brains out of the guy. She gets proceeded to be raped by the cultist, and then they leave her alone. Oh. And then one of the deep ones is like in the water or whatever, just waiting for her, and proceeds to her, and she just starts giving into it. And then later on, while she's like getting fed, she's got like a plate of food or whatever, he like comes over. And then at the end of the story, when she's like reconnecting with her other FBI buddy, she's pregnant.
Wow.
With the deep one, possible, more than likely the deep one's thing. But he actually saves her. He actually saves her from the cultists too. He gives her like an air pocket or something like that to breathe through when he kisses her, and then like they swim to safety.
Ooh, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, but it's like it for the most part, the comic has got some violence in it and like a few nude images, but like towards the end of the comic book, it just goes balls to the wall crazy with this orgy and like the deep one, and it's like obsession with this FBI woman.
I'm gonna check that out.
It's crazy, and that's exactly what I was thinking of when I was watching your movie. I was like, this guy had to have read that comic. I've seen the lead cultist, as I guess I would call him in the movie, Russell Marsh, Robert
Sure.
Miano. I've seen him in multiple things before. How did you get him?
Yeah, no, he's been around a long time. We've been through Sylvia. He and Sylvia are married, and I worked with Sylvia back in.
Oh, they're really married in real life. That's interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I met her on, someone's knocking at the door back, long ago, and clicked with her, and then she recommended Robert for another project that had come up, and that fell through, and then we did a film called Parasites a while back, which is kind of a remake of The Naked Prey, and he was fantastic in it, and we just had a really good connection, and, we've been kind of churning everything out since then. Sometimes he'll put input on the script I have, or he'll go out and find money, and it's really a good partnership, producer, actor, writer, direct. It all kind of flows together in a good team to get things done.
Where do they?
He's the one who brought Gina in on this. He hooked me up with her. We met over another project, which is kind of a female death wish, and she was trying to get money for that. That didn't happen, and then she just basically said, "Hey, look, I've got this beach house for another month. If you guys want to film here, think up something and we'll do it." And so I thought, well, let's think up something, and it was off and running.
I had seen someone's knocking at the door. It's described as a deviant S&M game gone horribly wrong.
That's about right.
Like the most effed up thing from start to finish of a mind f. But tell me about that movie, because that movie is seriously screwed up in a lot of ways.
Well, that kind of started with a guy from Australia named Rome Godsey had basically saw a film I did called The Ghouls, and he's like, "Hey, I really like what you did with no money. I've got this thing. Someone's knocking at the door. I've got the script. Would you be interested in directing it?" And he was in Australia, and I'm like, "Yeah, sure, send me the script." And thought really nothing of it because I get a lot of calls from people, not from Australia, but from, whoever's saying, "Hey, I've got a script. Do you want to make this?" And, I always say, "Well, do you have any money?" And he said, "Yeah, we've got, about, 150 grand as a budget. Do you think you could do it?" And I'm like, "Send me the script." Read the script, thought it was awful. And I said, "Well, do you mind if I try a rewrite on it?" And he said, "Sure." And I rewrote it. He loved the rewrite. And then, a month later, he was in town with the money, and we were off and making it, which is rare because most of the time people will just say, "Hey, yeah, no, I've got money," or whatever. And then, "Okay, well, send me, $2,500 to do the rewrite or something to get the ball rolling, so I know you're not foolish." And he sent the money, and everything kind of just started clicking. And, before you know it, we were actually making the thing, which is a hard thing. Even back then, so many promises of people with money and not money and budget and whatever. Even though the budget's microscopic, it was a refreshing thing that someone came along that had the money, had a decent idea for a script, and we cranked it out, and it was, well received. It played a lot of festivals, and had a lot of fun on that one.
It's called the most depraved film of the 21st century. Do you take that with a badge of honor?
I think that's stretching. I think, a Serbian film was a little more shocking for me anyway.
Do you want to do more Lovecraft?
Yeah, I've actually got a sequel for the deep ones all lined up. It's just a matter of and an investor meeting in the next couple of weeks to see if that'll actually go through. But fingers crossed.
Well, it's also funny that your lead actress, because it's like we're in I think the second week it came out. There's the Marvel movie Black Widow came out a couple weeks ago, and your actress Gina was in a film called Black Widow back in 2010.
Oh, that's interesting.
I saw that when I was looking through her IMDb, wondering who the hell is this actress. And I was just like, she was in something called Black Widow, nothing to do with a Marvel comic book, but it's got a Black Widow on the poster. She's kind of far down there in the cast, so I don't know how big of her part was, but so I never saw it. So, but that was interesting because that's when I had seen the deep ones, and I was like, this is crazy, and then wanted to look up who all the actors were and stuff. The worst character of the whole movie has got to be Petrie. And the best character has to be, is it Deb, who's the best friend who comes around and basically is not afraid to be like, these people are crazy, and just like not like just buying into their garbage. I loved her so much. I was just like, oh no, she's gonna die. Oh, she's dead.
Yeah, no, she was great. And that's the perfect thing. Someone who comes and sees what the hell? Why didn't you people run the minute you saw these other people?
IMDb lists the film under these categories for you to look up in case you're interested: H.P. Lovecraft, Cthulhu Mythos, cults, beach, which probably lists there with other beach films. You like beaches? Watch this movie. Hey, mommy, I want to watch this. But they also list transgender. Was there someone who's transgender in the movie?
Well, I guess the doctor, Rayburn, is supposed to be kind of...
Oh, right. Okay, I didn't... Yeah, okay. I thought they were just eccentrically flamboyant or something.
But I mean,
like a drag queen or something.
Well, that's kind of what, it is, the idea that it's kind of this androgynous fish monster thing. But
yeah, I didn't know what they were doing. I was just like, oh, this is like a Rocky Horror thing, right?
Right.
But I saw that, like, look it up, like, because I always love, like, what the categories they're going to suggest or whatever, because then you'll click on the link and they'll send you to other categories of, like, beach movies. And The Lost Boys comes up, of course, as well, which is good. But, they'll put up, like, beach comedies as well, and you're like, no. People who are into beach comedy should never watch this film ever, ever, ever.
Sure.
Jeez, they're going to see a naked woman running down the beach at the beginning of the movie and be like, what is this smut? And then next thing you know, they're going to watch it to the end and be like, good God! Hopefully they got the idea from like the tentacles on the cover, especially like what happens to Pichu with the tentacles in his mouth. And I was like, oh my god, they're coming out of her pregnant air. Oh Jesus Christ. What is that? Were those like, was that CGI tentacles or was that something like off camera just like
Oh
shoving
no,
in her
that
mouth?
was all in camera, good old practical effects. And that was, that was the first day of filming and the first day ever working with Johan, who plays Petri, and he was just such a trooper that kind of set the tone for the rest of the shoot, because everything was very smooth and all the actors were kind of up for anything. So I can't, and like Sylvia, seeing him deep throating the tentacle
Oh
on
my
the
god.
first day, it kind of loosens up the other actors to be like, oh, I just got to run naked on a beach. That's no big deal. This guy was sucking a tentacle for a couple hours and, halfway down his throat. So, it was great. And he didn't complain. He didn't, here's a strapping guy, manly and good looking and all this stuff. And he's like, got to get on his knees and start sucking this thing. And he was all up for it and he was great. And that's the kind of thing that sets a nice tone, and those are the kind of actors you want to work with, because a lot of the times you'll get somebody who you've met and said, hey, you've got the role, great, can't wait to work with you. And then they show up on set and they're complete divas and just jerks. And he was the complete opposite. He was great and had no problem doing whatever was asked. And and that kind of set the groundwork for everyone kind of being on the same page of, okay, there's some weird stuff going on, but let's get through it and have fun doing it.
Well, I own the deep ones. It's just there with my other Lovecraft films, such as Die Monster Die, or the Void, or of course Dagon or Reanimator as well. So I definitely had to purchase it. It was definitely extremely entertaining. I have to. I gotta hunt down and have on the show Gina and Sylvia, just because their characters are so fantastic, as well as Robert sometime in the future.
Oh, they'd love it.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Put them. You got my email. Put them in touch with me. I mean, if I get Sylvia, I get Robert as well, which would be great.
For sure.
And then have Gina reach out to me as well as she's mostly like the lead of this whole thing. Not really the heroine. I wouldn't call it the heroine. The victim.
Victim's good. There you go.
Yeah, the main victim. There's no heroes in this movie. This is a sad, sad film. I'm just imagining, like, what is Disney going to do with their tentacle creature movie coming up with Ursula supposed to be getting her own movie? You know what I mean? They're going to be doing, like, an Ursula live-action movie, too. And I'm just thinking, oh, man, the tentacle lovers out there are going to just eat that up.
It's a good time to love tentacles.
Oh, my God. Unbelievable. Where can people find out more information about this movie?
It's streaming all over the place, and it's at Walmart, and it's one of those things. If you're interested in Lovecraft, give it a watch, and spread the word if you dig it, and if you hate it, keep quiet. Because that's a tough thing, with an independent film. You hope people love it and whatever, but there's so much bootlegging out there that it's one of those things that can really hurt you. But so far, it's been doing very well, and people seem to have been enjoying it for the most part. And I just hope that keeps up, and we get to make another one.
That's good. That's good to hear. Well, again, Chad, thank you so much for coming on the show to talk about